Hello, this is Councilman Matt Watson on 107.3 FM. This is Take It to the Mat, and my guest, Zachary Mayor David Amrhein. We're talking about all the good things in Zachary. You know, low crime, easy access to health care, highest average household income in the capital region, continued economic growth. But you've got a lot of great things about Zachary, but you some needs in here. The growing city will need a new police station, fire station, and city hall. What are you looking at as far as when those things may happen? And I'll keep this in the back of your mind. Central had a whole lot of discussions about a city hall that kind of got sideways about all that. Do you have any kind of conversation that way, or is everybody all in agreement on the things that you need going forward?
Well, we had a conversation a couple weeks back with Chief McDavid and Chief Kimball, the police chief and fire chief, and the administration building we designed probably 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's just designed. We're in the old Bank of Zachary building.
Mm-hmm.
We have no more room. There's nowhere for us to go or anything. The fire station is in the old red and white supermarket that was redone. The police building is the only building that was actually governmental building that was designed for what it's used for.
Really?
But they outgrew it probably 5 to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The court, and that's another thing, as your city grows, so grows your need for courts and everything else that comes with it. Well, the court has taken more and more of the police building over time, and Chief McDavid lost his training room. And it's we're going to get together and try to figure out the best way to approach the people in Zachary and find out, how we're going to pay for it.
Gotcha.
So far we've been very fortunate as far as funds and everything, but at the end of the day, we're the three of us going to get together, and we're going to design the police building and the fire station and see where it goes.
Well, I'll tell you, even in Baton Rouge, it cost us, $19 million to purchase the old women's hospital, to have that turn into the police, headquarters over there. And I see, Midland, Michigan, my hometown, but long before I left back in the 90s, they took a failing mall and turned that into a police station. So it's not uncommon to have repurposed buildings, but and when you've got something that's really an important function that needs to be purpose built, to have that conversation, be able to have the revenue coming in to be able to do it, and the constituency that believes in their leadership to do this. I mean, that's got to be a wonderful feeling to go out and talk to folks and know that you can have a good conversation.
Oh, it is, Matt. And we believe that if the three of us get on the same page and present the same message, once we decide which way we want to go, this is all in the preliminary stages today, and we're not sure how we're going to do it.
Sure.
But when we do go before the people in Zachary, we will have one united message that says, hey, and this is why. And we've been open about it. Anybody's more than you can come by and look at our buildings, and we'll take you through them and show you how the conditions that our employees work in.
Absolutely. Transparency is absolutely key.
Oh, it's got to be. You got to tell the people why you want to do something. You just can't, and we're not going to build Taj Mahals.
Sure.
They're going to be functional buildings that last for the next 25 to 35, 40 years.
Yeah, no cantilever buildings?
Oh, no. We're going to build a building that's functional and that, like I say, that will stand the test of time, low maintenance.
We had a couple of questions that came across the Facebook app that we're just being made aware of. One, you talked about the Comeet Diversion Canal trying to help out flooding in Zachary. Now, a question that Eric asked is, what regulations are there in limiting fill dirt, that's taken to a building site to build the site up before building a house on it? What regulations do you have, and how strict are your regulations to limit fill dirt so that they don't push that water off on their neighbors?
Yeah, a lot of our stuff is driven by FEMA. We're in a flood insurance program, so they got a lot of our benchmarks.
Sure.
Also, if you come in and develop a new subdivision, it's all engineered to where you retain your water. The water stays in your subdivision until it can drain out in a timely manner. It doesn't all leave at one time. About 50% of Zachary's in a flood zone. A lot of people don't know that.
So you utilize retention. You have a requirement for retention ponds and all that kind of stuff to hold that and then have it trickle out in a safe manner before it leaves the four corners of the subdivision.
And we have made people go to 50-year storms instead of 25. It started at 10, we went to 25, now we're at 50. Nobody's pushed back on it yet. Our standards are 25 years, but everybody, once we've sat down and talked to them, Chris Davis does a great job, Public Works Director there, that they understand that and so far the developers have bought into the fact, hey, they don't want to cause any trouble downstream neither.
Sure.
Hopefully the diversion is supposed to be finished, our part in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And that should eliminate, like I told you earlier, about 95% of our flooding, best guesstimates.
Houses in Zachary that took flood water in 2016, that awful flood in 2016, when you looked at average height of water inside houses, what were people really looking at when they're talking about that? We're talking 18 inches, 4 inches, 4 feet. You know, some folks got it pretty bad. 18 inches.
We had some that take 5, 6 foot of water, but they were in areas that have always flooded. You know, we had two brand new subdivisions flood that we never thought would have flooded, but you know, it was a perfect storm. You get 30 inches of rain, and I'm not sure the diversion canal will help. Hopefully, from what we've been told, it will, for the amount of water that got in people's houses.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got a lot of people who are calling me angry with, not with me, but angry in general, and showing their anger that they've been paying FEMA flood insurance for years, and now we get a 30-year storm in 2016, and it didn't even come anywhere near my house. Why am I paying flood insurance? And we got other folks that never were required to pay, and they got 4 feet in their house. So Mother Nature is pretty fickle when it comes to who she's going to affect.
Oh, it is, and you know, dealing with FEMA is
sure.
You know, a lot of people I'd rather deal with than FEMA, but
yeah,
it's a program that was put in, and for us to get the discounts to everybody that they've put into the flood zones for their flood insurance, we have to follow their guidelines. And I like some of them I don't. Some areas exactly that they say will flood will never flood. If it does, we have a bigger problem than we had in 2016. Zachary had a little over 500 homes take water, which you know, sounds bad, and it was bad for us, but it's not nearly as bad as what happened downstream.
I'm telling you, from a perspective of the whole parish wide, to have your area only take 500, I mean, it's not a minor problem, because certainly each one of those folks that live in those 500 homes, that was the most catastrophic thing that could ever happen to them, one biggest investment they've ever made in their life. But when you're looking at statistics from a little higher view, from a municipality having the resources to fix something, I think you know you got off a little bit lucky compared to when we look at our neighbors in Livingston and seeing almost everybody just get wiped out over there. Holy smoke.
Oh, it was, Matt. You look at Baker and you look at Central. You know, they took the brunt of it. But you said it. It doesn't matter how much water you take in your house. I went to some guy's house, sitting there talking to him in his living room, and I asked him. He said, you know, David, it doesn't really matter. He said 2 inches, 2 foot. I had the same problems. You know, so and that was probably the hardest month and a half since I've been in office.
Certainly.
I knew these people. I've known them since I was kids. A lot of them I grew up with. A lot of the parents still live in Zachary that know me. And, you know, and to see them, and a lot of them had flood insurance, but the things you can't replace, you know, the pictures they lost and everything.
Oh, certainly.
That there's no price tag on items like that. And, you know, it was gut-wrenching to sit there and talk to these people. Like I said, people I've known all my life.
Yeah. Well, when these folks went out to replace, you know, carpet, furniture, things of that nature, you probably had since we're looking at, we talked during one of the breaks about how you're primarily a sales tax driven economy in Zachary, knowing that you're only going to get $900,000 out of $9 million in property tax expenditures. You're really looking for sales tax to be able to pay for a lot of the infrastructure and things that you need up in Zachary. Sales tax being something that's sort of a roller coaster. I mean, you must have gotten a big bump from those folks that had the ability to go replace the things that they lost in that flood. Did that create sort of a lull in sales tax afterward?
We went up about $1.5 million. The following year it dropped down about right what it was. We've had about a 1 to 2% increase for the last 10, 15 years.
So you stayed consistent across the board and just had an uptick in replacement costs. You didn't have a drop post those replacements being made.
No.
Well, that's wonderful for your economy up there.
Oh, it is. And I don't think we've had a negative year you'd have to go back far for that to happen. But we've continued to grow. Rooftops have continued to come, and businesses have continued to come. We hired a Retail Strategies, which is a retail recruitment company that's helping us. And, you know, we're starting to see some positive things coming to Zachary that are looking at Zachary that used to not look at us. You know, would say, hey, y'all way too small. You know, you don't have the right demographics. You don't have the right economic anything.
Sure.
But as we've grown, the story has become more and more known. Everybody knows about the school system
Sure.
and the positive feedback you get there. It's just I believe it's a great time to be in Zachary.
Absolutely. And you've got folks that also must share that idea, because you've got folks moving to Zachary all the time. What's your population increase been since you've been mayor?
Since I've been mayor, we've gone in 2010. We were at 14.5, and we're looking to be close to 18,000.
Okay. So we had somebody write in on the Facebook app that you've got some homes for sale and you've got new rooftops being built. At that sort of growth, do you see any reason why you're not going to have sales being made on new construction and not leaving anything empty for very long? How's the real estate market in Zachary?
So far, it's been good. The turnovers, GP has not affected it. It's a lot of people that lost their job at GP have found work.
Well, see,
that's doing a great.
Yeah.
Stuff's doing a big expansion. So, if you're ever going to shut something down,
yeah,
now was a good time to do it because of what we have in that area that are expanding.
Yeah.
So it's not doom and gloom. If GP would have shut down 20 years ago, you and I'd be having a totally different conversation.
Sure.
It would be doom
Sure.
and gloom in Zachary.
Sure.
But Zachary's branched out, and there's enough businesses there. The hospital has grown tremendously. You have your own school system today to where you didn't have it 20 years ago, and it's grown and gotten bigger and better.
Yeah.
So you're not dependent on one industry like you were like 20, 25 years ago.
Certainly. And when those 650 people were cut loose from GP, they were lucky enough to be able to find a job elsewhere, just like the guy who cut them loose retired and ran off and became, got himself a golden parachute from the current mayor here in Baton Rouge. So I guess everybody made out okay on that one in the long run. So now, what's some things coming up in Zachary that we can talk about?
We've started a Downtown Live at the Gazebo. That's a concert series. I think we're going to have 4 or 5 of them this year. That's very big. You got the Fall Art Crawl. That's a big event. The annual Maypole Festival's getting ready to start. We have a huge Easter egg hunt that the Zachary Charity League helps put on. The 4th of July Jubilee's coming up at Americana. It was a huge success last year.
Mm-hmm.
John Inquist and Charles Landry, the developers in Americana, are looking for this to be bigger and better than it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably 3,500 people. They're looking maybe 4,000 or 5,000 this year.
Right.
So it's just a lot of good stuff is happening in Zachary today, and like I said, we look forward to it.
Wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, it's absolutely wonderful to sit here and talk to a mayor who's absolutely pro-business and really interested in growing the economy. And it seems like you're either watching it happen and not doing anything to slow it down, or you're doing everything you can to kick it in the pants and get it to even go a little further. What would you think that the strategy is going forward to make sure that the economy keeps going and growing in Zachary?
We're going to continue to tell our positive story, get people on board with that, and just make people believe that Zachary is a place you need to be. It's a great city. We have a lot to offer, and we believe the best is yet to come. I'm fortunate. I have a fantastic council that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tremendous team of department heads that run the city. It's just a great place to be.
And you have a great relationship between the folks that live there and your law enforcement agencies.
Yes. And it's just we have a good police department, fire department's first rate. It's just everything is moving forward in Zachary in a very positive manner. I'm not a negative person. I don't look at the negative aspects of things. I believe that every problem has a solution. You just have to work toward it.
Well, common sense isn't very common anymore. I'd like to see you sit across the table with somebody who's got some common sense, because it's obviously paying off for you. Zachary, #1 school system, a lot of growth, a lot of folks that I know that want to go up and build. My experience in the construction industry, I know a lot of folks are building things up in Zachary right now and don't see any reason to slow down, because you're growing your city and your community. So congratulations on the success that you've had up there, David.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
It's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. You're listening to Take It to the Mat on 107.3 FM. Thank you so much for listening on this beautiful Wednesday. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much.